The wind arrives first. It comes sweeping over frozen fields and empty forests, rattling bare branches and driving sleet against the stone like 1,000 thrown pebbles. The banners atop the battlements snap and crack in protest before they stiffen with ice. Beneath them, the castle stands unmoving, massive, grey and cold, its towers rising like blunt fingers into a sky the colour of lead. Winter has come, and this one will not leave quickly. Inside the walls, life contracts. The longest winter is not simply a season. It is a siege laid by nature itself. There are no armies at the gate, no battering rams or scaling ladders. Instead, there is hunger, frost, smoke, and the slow, grinding weariness of months without warmth. For those living behind castle walls in the Middle Ages, survival meant preparation, discipline, hierarchy, and endurance. Every stone corridor and timbered hall would soon feel the bite of cold that seeped into bone and spirit alike. The castle, so formidable in summer, reveals its vulnerability in winter. Built of stone for strength, it is stone that betrays its inhabitants when temperatures fall. Thick walls block arrows and enemy blades, but they also trap cold, like a cellar traps dampness. Fireplaces line the great hall, their chimneys belching smoke into the icy air. Yet they can only warm the space closest to the flames. The higher one climbs into towers, guard chambers, and narrow rooms, the colder it becomes. Frost creeps across inner walls like pale veins. Water left in bowls forms a thin sheet of ice by morning. The day begins before dawn. Servants rise in darkness, their breath visible in the air as they shuffle from straw pallets laid along the hall's edges. The great hall itself, centre of feasting and ceremony in warmer months, has become a communal dormitory. Tapestries hang from stone walls not for decoration, but for insulation. Heavy rolling curtains divide sleeping areas, trapping pockets of warmth around families and retainers. Even the lord and lady of the castle may retreat from lofty chambers to smaller, more easily heated rooms. The first task is fire. Without flame, there is no survival. Wood is carried in from covered stores, oak and ash cut months earlier, carefully seasoned and stacked beneath shelter. If preparations were poor in autumn, the consequences are now unavoidable. Wet wood smokes heavily, filling rooms with choking haze. Chimneys must be cleared of soot and ice. Sparks must be guarded against, for fire in winter is both saviour and destroyer. A single stray ember could turn the castle's wooden floors and beams into an inferno. Food defines the rhythm of the longest winter. In autumn, granaries were filled with barley, wheat, and rye. Salted meats were hung in cool storage chambers. Fish, caught during warmer seasons, were dried or packed in brine. Cabbages, turnips, onions, and carrots were stored in root cellars beneath the earth, where temperatures remained stable. Barrels of ale and wine rested beside them. Survival depends not on abundance, but on calculation. Each day, rations are measured carefully. The steward oversees distribution with stern precision. Too generous, and supplies will fail before spring. Too strict, and morale may break. Meals are heavy, but repetitive. Coarse bread, pottage thickened with grain, small portions of salted pork or beef, sometimes dried peas or beans. Fresh meat is rare unless livestock must be slaughtered early to preserve fodder. Chickens lay fewer eggs in cold months. Milk dries up as cows conserve energy. The cold gnaws at more than hunger. Water must be drawn from wells within the castle courtyard, but even these can freeze at the surface. Buckets come up rimmed with ice. If the castle relies on a nearby stream or river, guards may have to chip through thick layers each morning. A frozen moat, once a defensive advantage, becomes a hazard. Ice can bear the weight of a man, or even a group. Winter transforms protection into vulnerability. Yet life continues along the battlements. Guards rotate shifts more frequently during the deepest cold. To stand watch in biting wind for hours invites frostbite and illness. Leather gloves stiffen, metal weapons burn against bare skin. Torches struggle against gusts. Snow accumulates along parapets and must be cleared to prevent collapse or concealment of threats. Even if no enemy approaches, vigilance cannot falter. Winter, paradoxically, can invite opportunistic attack as rival lords assume their enemies are weakened. Inside, the Great Hall becomes a world unto itself. Smoke coils upward toward darkened rafters, where it lingers before escaping through louvered openings. Eyes sting, lungs ache. The smell of damp wool and unwashed bodies mingles with ash and stew. Yet there is comfort in proximity. Stories are told by firelight, tales of past battles, of saints and miracles, of heroes who endured worse trials. Laughter echoes against stone, brief but defiant. The longest winter tests hierarchy as much as endurance. The Lord's responsibility is clear: protect, provide, and maintain order. If food grows scarce, decisions grow heavier. Who receives full rations? How long can stores last? Are neighbouring villages suffering worse? The castle may shelter peasants who have fled failing farms, swelling numbers within walls never designed for such crowds. Compassion must balance practicality. A miscalculation could mean famine for all. Disease stalks the cold corridors. Contrary to belief, winter does not kill all sickness. In fact, cramped quarters encourage its spread. Coughs echo through sleeping chambers. Fevers rise. Without modern medicine, remedies rely on herbs dried months earlier. Sage, thyme, honey, garlic. The castle's healer moves quietly from pallet to pallet, offering infusions and prayers. Some recover, others do not. Death in winter is quieter than death in battle. There is no clash of steel, no trumpet call. Instead, there is a stillness beneath heavy blankets, a body that fails to warm. Burial becomes a grim task when earth is frozen solid. Graves must be hacked into ground like stone, or bodies preserved temporarily until thaw. Bells toll in muted tones across the snow-bound landscape. Animals share in the struggle. Horses, so vital to a castle's defence and prestige, require constant care. Stables are insulated with straw and dung, which generate limited warmth as they decompose. Fodder must last until grass returns. If hay supplies diminish, difficult choices arise. Oxen may be slaughtered. Hunting expeditions into snow-laden forests become necessary risks. A successful hunt brings precious fresh meat. Failure wastes energy desperately needed. Beyond survival, winter reshapes routine. Training for knights continues within courtyards when weather permits. Sword practice, archery drills, and maintenance of armour cannot cease entirely. Rust thrives in damp cold. Weapons are cleaned meticulously, oiled to resist corrosion. The blacksmith's forge glows as a second sun within the castle, its heat drawing men like moths. Here, metal sings beneath hammer blows, and for a moment, warmth replaces numbness. Time moves differently in the longest winter. Days are short, darkness arriving early and lingering late. Candles and rushlights are precious resources, rationed as carefully as food. Work must align with daylight whenever possible. Night invites introspection and anxiety. Storms batter shutters. The wind moans through arrow slits, In such moments, the castle feels less like a fortress and more like a ship adrift in a sea of white. Faith anchors many hearts. The chapel within the castle becomes a refuge from more than cold. Stone floors chill knees during prayer, yet voices raised in hymn seem to generate warmth of another kind. The chaplain speaks of endurance, of trials sent to strengthen resolve. Winter, he reminds them, is part of divine design. Spring will come. Still, doubt lingers in private thoughts. Mothers count dwindling sacks of grain. Fathers calculate how many logs remain in store. Servants whisper about rumours from beyond the walls. Villages abandoned, roads impassable, wolves descending closer than ever before. Hunger sharpens tempers. Minor disputes flare quickly in cramped quarters. Authority must intervene swiftly to prevent discord from spreading like flame. As weeks turn to months, the landscape transforms utterly. Snow buries fields that once promised harvest. Forest paths vanish. Rivers lie silent beneath thick ice. Communication with neighbouring territories slows to a crawl. Messengers risk frostbite and disorientation. News, when it arrives, is weeks old. Isolation deepens. Yet, adaptation is humanity's greatest strength. Clothing becomes armour against cold. Layers of wool, fur-lined cloaks, leather boots stuffed with straw. Every garment serves function first. Blankets are shared. Bed curtains trap warmth around sleepers. Even architecture plays a role. Narrow windows reduce drafts. Spiral staircases limit open airflow. Inner courtyards shield against direct wind. The castle was built for war, but it survives winter through ingenuity. At the height of the longest winter, monotony becomes as dangerous as hunger. Morale must be sustained. Feasts, modest by necessity, are organised to mark holy days. Musicians play fiddles and pipes. Dancers stamp feet, both for joy and warmth. Children, if present, invent games in corridors, their laughter piercing gloom like sunlight through cloud. Gradually, subtle changes appear. The sun lingers slightly longer each afternoon. Icicles drip instead of hanging motionless. Snow atop roofs softens at edges. These signs are small, but powerful. Hope rekindles, even before supplies run critically low. Plans begin for spring planting, for repairs long delayed, for journeys postponed. But winter's final weeks are often the hardest. Stores have thinned. Firewood stacks stand lower than comfort allows. Illness may surge as bodies weaken. Patience frays. It is during this stretch, when the end is visible yet not reached, that true resilience reveals itself. Then, one morning, something shifts. The air feels different, less sharp, more forgiving. A patch of earth emerges from beneath receding snow. Birds return tentatively, their calls unfamiliar after months of silence. Water flows freely in the well, without ice to break. The castle exhales. Survival has not been dramatic. There were no heroic charges, no triumphant victories. Instead, there was endurance. Daily choices made wisely, resources measured carefully, cooperation maintained under strain. The longest winter behind castle walls becomes a story told for years afterward, not of glory, but of perseverance. When gates finally open wide to a thawing world, those who step beyond them carry more than relief. They carry proof that stone and spirit together can withstand even nature's fiercest assault. The castle stands as it always has, scarred by frost, blackened by smoke, but unbroken. And within its walls, life begins again.